in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again, you gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over, it's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster. Oh, roller coaster. We've been living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. Oh, you seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again, you gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time. To all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster. Oh, roller. And now, rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. Roller coaster.
The Buffalo Sabres add to their front office, hiring Jarmo Kekalainen as a senior advisor. He'll report directly to general manager Kevin Adams and will be involved in all areas of the hockey department. Kekalainen's most recent stint with Columbus, he oversaw the most successful stretch of Blue Jackets hockey in team history. He's moving into the Bills front office as well, as Terrence Gray has been promoted to assistant general manager. The Stanley Cup Final will see a rematch between the Panthers and Oilers from last year's final. Series begins next Wednesday evening in Edmonton. Coverage of the Stanley Cup Final on WGR is presented by Fiegel Carr and Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. The Bisons continue their series tonight against the Charlotte Knights. First pitch is set for 6:05. You can catch all of the action over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet, celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Joe Cali for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Okay, happy Friday. The Sabres did a thing. We'll talk about its meaning and significance here. Jarmo Kekalainen. He's from Finland, and now that he's a Sabre, it shouldn't be long before we're told to pronounce his name differently. Isn't that what usually happens with Finnish Sabres people? We go for a while, and then Paul shows up and says, actually, we're saying it wrong.
Tallinder is Swedish. But
Tallinder is Swedish. Let's just make it Scandinavia then. Let's just make it all of Scandinavia.
Let's generalize like that.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that, and, it's hilarious, right? But also that the greatest 2 Sabres ever, there's only like 2 names on the top tier, both have had their names pronounced differently. It's not unanimous on Perau.
Perau.
You were going to say Perau.
Perau, yeah. Yes.
See?
Yes.
In this room, we have 2 people who kind of know their sports and would have said Perau differently and have been saying it differently forever.
I guess so. I never noticed that we say it different. You often refer to him as Gilbert if he comes up.
Okay.
I feel like, and I don't ever use that. I don't ever use his first name that way. So you probably have noticed that I say Perau, not the same way you do, but you often say Gilbert. So I've never noticed you saying it differently.
Well, I think of Ted Darling. Wouldn't he have known?
I mean,
Did Darling say it different than Jeanneret? Can you hear Jeanneret saying Gilbert Perau? I think I can. I think it's how it sounds. Darling would be Gilbert Perau.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But maybe he didn't know.
Yeah. I feel comfortable that he did.
Me too. I've gone with it. I've just deferred to him.
And if you're going to be wrong, and you're going to be wrong, saying it the way that Ted Darling said it, it's an acceptable way to be wrong.
That's my excuse.
Yeah.
By the way, I thought of him today for another reason. So I had to take my dog.
Ted Darling or Gilbert Perau?
Gilbert Perau.
Perau.
I had to take my dog in today.
Botterill.
To the. That's good. That's better. I had to take Margot in because she's got a little bit of a bump and wanted to get it looked at. And so how do you make that call? So I've got the GI Animal Hospital as written as that in my contacts. And I don't know the number. It's not that often. So I go to my phone app and then search GI, and the second name down is Perau. And I thought today, I almost called him by accident to see if I can get Margot in to get her little bump checked.
What a humble brag this just turned into. You've got Gilbert Perau's phone number in your phone.
I do.
That's pretty solid.
I don't know. It's got to have been 10 years maybe. I don't know if it's different now. But
that's nice.
I've never called him. I don't know why I have it. It would go back to that one time that we had him on. Like the only time I've ever spoken to him, I think, was that one time at the arena. Mike Gilbert set it up. Who, by the way, if I kept going on the GI, I could have gotten to Mike Gilbert. It'd be better to call Gilbert than Perau.
Yeah, that's a better mistake.
About this. Is that? Am I saying it right? It's Gilbert. It's not Gilbert. Mike Gilbert. So, yes, I have had this thought every time I think I call the vet. Is I'm almost calling Perau by accident. If I'm not careful here, I will call him to see about an appointment for my pug.
That would be weird, especially if he started asking you questions. Well, what exactly is wrong with your dog?
That would be great. What seems to be the trouble?
What is your problem, Mr. Schopp? All right, and then we've got what, Hasek and Hasek?
I was thinking Hasek, but
okay.
I don't have a firm stance on that one. It's close enough to the same.
I say Hasek.
Me too.
Always have.
Close enough to the same.
Yeah.
So Kekalainen, that's again the point. The bit here is that he'll change his. Let's talk about it, right? Because it's a thing, and
it's a very impressive thing.
Okay,
I'm impressed. I I don't know if it'll work. He is a person that I thought of during this. I don't think his name ever came up in here when we were talking about it. But
no,
if it had, I would have said there's no way he's taking that job.
Really?
Yeah, I just would not have thought he would come into that role. I just thought he might have feel like I don't want to report to Kevin Adams. I thought that would be a problem for anybody who's had that job. GM, he was the GM of the Columbus Blue Jackets for 11 years or 10 plus years, and he was fired during year 11, if I have the timeline correct there. And I just didn't think they'd pull I was bracing for them to either one of two things. Not hire anyone and have Eric Stahl end up being the guy they pull into the boat to help the front office this offseason, or it end up being someone who was an assistant GM somewhere that was ready to, maybe older still, but not someone who could outrank Kevin Adams walking in the door. I just didn't think that they would pull that guy in. And so I'm impressed that they were able to do that. I hope it works. I hope he speaks his mind, and I hope that he has a positive impact on the organization. But I at face value, it's not a name I thought they'd be capable of pulling in.
Well, maybe you have a more informed opinion of him than I do. I only think of Kekalainen for when he took the job there, and it seemed like kind of a progressive idea. Mm-hmm. He was the first European-born GM in the league, and it sounded like he cared about his data. And so I liked it from that standpoint, but what did they accomplish? You know, I mean, Columbus has, I believe, one playoff series win ever. They've made the playoffs 6 times in 24 years. He's not there for all of it. He's there for almost half of it. Like, I don't know. I would not have said the same. I was told that the Sabres were serious about hiring someone for that role, and that it would be, you know, they were hoping, maybe expecting it would be a name you knew. And if you knew that, I don't know if you would say the same about, like, being surprised that this guy would take the job. I also think I want to be careful not to just make too many assumptions about what the report to Adams part is, you know. It might end up being more of a collaboration than that reads. And also, not to be like this, but if you're Kekalainen or someone else, you know, considering this opportunity, you might think that, you know, Adams is about out of time.
Yeah.
You know, you could think that, or you could think there's no such thing as his being out of time, which is what going 5 years and getting nowhere kind of makes you think.
I do like that. I mean, I don't know how... It's part of the reason I didn't think that they would pull that person in, because it looks too much like an obvious replacement in waiting. And not to say that the Kekalainen would be uncomfortable with that. I just wasn't sure. I knew the Sabres were talking like they were after that sort of person. I just didn't think they'd be able to pull it off. So what I'm giving you here is that, you know, my opinion of their ability to recruit anyone, management, players, is at an all-time low, and this flies in the face of that. So I want to give them credit for pulling it off. Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
I think he was the GM of the Columbus Blue Jackets, which can cut two ways, I think, anyway. I mean, what have they ever done? Sort of, kind of like you just didn't exactly say that, but, you know, close.
I would say that.
Okay. While he was there, he pulled in maybe the last time there was a free agent on the market with the status that Mitch Marner has. This is not about to be a point that I think this increases the chances of the Sabres signing Mitch Marner, okay? But who would have thought, when Johnny Gaudreau agreed to go to Columbus, that blew everybody's minds.
Yeah.
He's the best free agent in years, in the prime of his career. He wants out of Calgary. He's from, like North Jersey, Philly area, whatever. Columbus? So, look, I don't know. Maybe there were reasons for that I still don't know about. But that he was the GM that pulled that off, it impresses me. That he was able to recruit a free agent of that stature to come to that market.
It's also possible, I mean, it's such a tragic thing, but if Gaudreau is on that team this year, they were close to the playoffs this year. I mean, Kekalainen is now out.
And the years that they had, there's a 109-point season in there before Gaudreau gets there. They had some good seasons, very good seasons there, not just like squeezing in. So, sure, if they had success in the playoffs, are they some sort of stalwart franchise? Of course not. They're the Columbus Blue Jackets. There's sort of an afterthought in my mind. There's not a team that I ever think about. But again, circling back, that he was a part of getting Johnny Gaudreau there. That
sounds good.
I think that can give you some hope that he can help the Sabres with credibility in that department.
I think that's probably right.
So that's the best I could have hoped to do with this hire. Whatever the name of the guy was going to be, whatever jobs he's had, whatever cups they haven't won, or whatever, playoff success, if you give me a guy that should be, I think, rightly perceived as upping their credibility, then that's a win. That's it. It's not very complicated for me. And it's not, I admit, a very high bar. Basically, I need somebody who has experience and has accomplished something in the league as a manager, and this guy qualifies.
Yep. Don't disagree. I won't bog us down with who's had a better last 25 years, the Sabres or the Blue Jackets, because maybe it's the Sabres. But, yeah, I mean, I think all that's right. Credibility was the point. I mean, what happens is any of these kind of hires around the league, you're going to it can be right, too, but you're going to attribute the losing or the winning to it. You know, this person's experience, right? The guys who get this job are always experienced hockey men, right? I mean, Lamoriello and Holland and these people. Who was the guy that was with Boston that went to Edmonton or something? Everybody made fun of it, but he's been around forever.
Yeah. I can see his face, and I can't think of his name.
It's just like,
I'm sorry.
Maybe it makes a difference, maybe it doesn't. But the Sabres, I think, too, had sunk to a point where, fine, give me the director of hockey operations, give me the president of hockey operations, fine. You know, it won't be Russ Brandon this time. It won't be Kim Pegula this time. It'll be somebody that's served, you know, that like you can buy it. And you don't really care as much whether you and I or, you know, any fan buys it as you do people in hockey.
Right.
And that has a trickle-down effect. I mean, that's not just free agents, but it can be assistant coaches, it can be scouts, it can be a lot of people. You know, you want to restore credibility, and this, I think, was an easy way to do it.
It can be your own players currently.
That's right. This would be, it seems, an easy way. All this is it costs money. And you have to, well, if you're the owner, tell the other people in the organization, this is what we're doing. You know, they can take it or leave it, but we are doing this. Mm-hmm. And, you know, for this reason, I would think. So you want to probably assume that the working relationships will not get in the way of any potential progress, and that it does have an overall positive effect. It's just money. You know, there's no cap for a job like this.
Right.
There's no draft picks you have to trade for a job like this. You just hire somebody for that purpose. And I would say, too, that it's good that the Sabres did it. I just never – it only is recent, if you probably know what I'm about to say, it only is recent that I thought – I threw my hands up with this idea. You know, go ahead. Go ahead. If director of hockey operations is what you think you need, go ahead. I don't think it has to be a bad thing. But for a long time, I pushed against it because why would you even really need this? This is how Paul talks. This is one area where Paul and I kind of are like-minded.
If you need this guy, then you have the wrong GM.
Right. Why do you need both? And that can still be said.
Yeah, well, I think I still do have the wrong GM. And a part of this for me, like I'm not, by saying this, I'm not rooting. Kevin Adams has not made a mess of every single thing he's touched. Last offseason, there were a couple of small wins, I think. Malenstein served a role. Ryan McLeod was a good deal, even though he gave up Matt Savoy. Like McLeod was better than advertised. Zucker was a win. We'll see about the 2-year contract extension, but still. So, but all that said, where you are now is you've got a guy here who is going to be familiar with your organization, and if it does continue in the direction it's been going for the past 14 years, I've already attracted a credible candidate to take over, the likes of which I would have expected to have trouble attracting, next summer, if this all runs its course and it's 15 years and Terry Pegula just can't take it anymore and the sign is out front for a new GM, just like I'm saying about the Kekalainen hire for this job, I think you have a hard time attracting a genuine, experienced, bona fide candidate. As I say, that has to be the only way you go, but the hiring first-time guys has not worked yet here. So they already have in-house a better idea than I thought they could have a year from now or two or whatever the timeline ends up being. Hopefully it's never, and this just straightens out and they make some good moves and it's, up from here. But if not, I think they got a nice safety net in place now.
That degree of pessimism, it's not like it doesn't make sense, but it really should never have been that bad where hockey just churns its own guys over and over. And it's 32 teams, not 100. So this gentleman, out in Columbus, what's he going to do? Like, are they all going to say no to the Sabres if the Sabres walk in with a president of hockey operations offer that you would assume be commensurate with maybe not in the biggest markets, but other people in the league that have that position, probably. Is it that bad that some candidate like this would just, oh my God, of course not. I can't go to the Sabres for a few $1 million a year or whatever. It never really should have been like that. And I just kind of, maybe why I'm less surprised or impressed even than you is it really this should have been possible. It just became, I think, the plan eventually. And I don't know, there are enough of these guys where you would think you could get one of them. It's just a question of the credibility point. It always comes back to that. The Sabres have hired, a lot of people in the last decade, that haven't had very much success. It's just too many of them were really not this. They were not even this. I don't even think this is massive. I think too many of these guys were just maybe cheaper. Anything can work, right? Ralph Kruger, Botterill, assistants, apprentices along the way that were well recommended and all right, here, this won't be, maybe there's a resignation. There's been that from Adams, as we know, through his words, a tone of resignation in what the Sabres can't accomplish in terms of people that they bring to the organization. So for whatever combination of reasons, that's how it's been. It just, again, got to a point. This point's been said here, I think, maybe by both of us already. It's a little bit of a breath of fresh air to think that Terry Pegula chose that this was necessary or that chose to do this. Did he have enough people telling him that? Did he wake up to it? I don't know. But this has been a thing where the Sabres have, by their actions, shown that they really didn't think they needed. And, today's a different day.
Yeah. I don't know what just happened, but the way when you just said the owner's name, my Siri activated. This iPad I have gets like a rainbow ring around it when that's activated, and you said Terry Pegula, and it went. And let me shut that off. Make sure it doesn't start talking to us here. Anyway, yeah,
you're acting surprised, you don't know that your iPad does that. Like you didn't set it up to do that.
Yeah, not with that keyword. I don't.
This is the bit. This is your window into announcing that actually you can't believe you don't understand it, even though that's how you programmed it.
Yeah. Well, I definitely would cop to Adams talking the way he talked, having, I guess, more of an effect on me than you. Because that's where I think we're both coming from here with this hire and our reactions to it. I just thought they were in really tough, and I had sort of given up that they could do a thing that not just impress us because the bar's low in Buffalo, but I think around the league people are going to notice that they did this, and wow, okay, and even their own players are going to, hey, wow, did you see we did a thing? That's pretty cool. I sure hope it helps. I just did not see it coming.
Wyshynski liked it.
Yeah, right. I saw that. Yeah.
Impressive move or whatever he said.
Yeah.
Very high praise.
Yeah.
For the move. Well, I wonder how the dynamics will play out, press conferences and such. I mean, Kekalainen, I think, was kind of public. I feel like he was with Columbus. It's still Columbus. It's not like they were hardly ever in like the national spotlight.
Yeah.
But, if he's answering to Adams or whatever it is, like, does he attend the Adams stuff? Does he do media? Is he in the background? What was Brendan Shanahan in this role in Toronto? He was the voice of it.
He was above. He was between ownership and the GM.
Yeah, right. That was different.
That's a president. That's not an advisor reporting to the GM.
Am I wrong in saying president here with Kekalainen?
Yes, okay. Senior advisor is the role. So I'm not expecting him. I think they'll have a news conference, I would hope, to introduce him.
Yeah. But
I'm not expecting him to. Senior advisor to me is, do you remember when Craig Patrick was here? Right. Now, that seemed like he was almost invisible, I feel like, when we got to sit with him once, or maybe more than once.
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
But, yeah, I don't know. I feel like senior advisor is like that is not a guy sitting on a dais having news conferences, at least not regularly, because I think that might look weird.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That will be interesting to watch because, I think we're going to want to hear his voice. Because that'll help us to think that his voice is being heard, that it matters.
Mm-hmm.
But if Adam sees this as somebody who's basically there to serve him, or that's how the organization wants to portray it, then we may not get very much of Kekalainen. We'll see. It's a thing. Coming up today, starting after this upcoming break, Sam Panayotovich, Bet Sweats. Lots to talk about with Sam, NBA, NHL, NFL. Connor Rogers joins us today, and then later on, Paul Hamilton on the Sabres hire. Thanks for being with us on this Friday. Mike Schopen, the Bulldog, WGR.
Never miss a second of Jeremy and Joe.
Dad's not here right now. He's still at work. So I'm going to blast him.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I'm going to see if there's a clean version so that my parents and the people at my school will not get mad at me. We've got the spritzer filled with water just in case if stuff gets too fire. I'm going to set up the speaker and I'm going to listen to
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I think this is the best
Mike Schopp
feature that I've heard in a long time. I think his flow is really good in it, and I like his aggressiveness on it. And
the Bulldog
put not enough effort in it. I think overall his flow was good, but I don't like that mumble rapping. That was my review of
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Spritzer. Wasn't fire enough. No spritzer for you. No spritzer.
Okay.
Gone. Never imagined something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. Oh, you seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster. Oh, roller coaster. We've been living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go! All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you. And over again, you gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over, it's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster.
Series to Game 6 in Indy with the Pacer lead cut 3-2.
Kevin Harlan, Game 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals is tomorrow night. Mike Schopen, the Bulldog here, joined now by Sam Panayotovich, the host of Bet Sweats, Odyssey Sports Betting Insider. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Check out the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. And be sure to catch Bet Sweats live 9 to noon weekdays on the BetMGM network, the Odyssey app, and the Bet 1520. Unless there's like a Bison's game in the morning. Like there was yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah.
Kids Day.
Yep.
Sam, what's the last minor league baseball game you've attended?
Oh, geez. I went to a Fisher Cats game. That's in New Hampshire, probably 2 years ago. Let's see, the New Hampshire Fisher Cats. Yeah, 2022. One of my best friends out of Chicago was pitching in the Cardinals organization, and he stopped through. I drove about an hour and 45. It was Taco Tuesday at the ballpark, guys.
Wow. Oh, you love that. That's the Blue Jays team, isn't it? Isn't that where, like, Guerrero was?
Yep.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I got a buddy that lives in the area that goes to Fisher Cats games pretty regularly, in fact.
I wonder if they were one of the 47 teams that asked John Oliver to rebrand them. Fisher Cats? I don't know. Sam, I'm not bragging. I just thought maybe you'd enjoy this. I made 2 bets today.
Okay, what do you got?
New England to make the playoffs at plus 155. Bulldog and I ran through their schedule yesterday, and it seemed like 10 wins is very plausible there. So we'll see if that happens and if that's enough. And maybe not as interesting, Kyren Williams to score fewer than 11.5 touchdowns for the Rams at like even money.
You have to sit with that one for a while.
Come on.
Well, the Patriots.
Let's see some Jarquez Hunter or even Blake Corum this year.
I love a good running back under because running backs get hurt all the time. And people always complain, well, you could bet the under, right? Like everybody bets the over. And then a guy plays 6 games and doesn't hit. And it's like, well, if he didn't get hurt, well, you can bet the under, believe it or not. Now, quick follow-up on the Patriots bet. Was this before or after Diggs was passing out drugs on the boat?
This is after, yeah.
This was today.
This is today, yes.
I don't hear everything immediately, but I heard that one the other day. So, yes, I did. I don't know. He's not even healthy yet. Not worried about it.
Yeah, the drugs on the boat, Sam. Come on. What's the big deal?
Allegedly.
It's all good.
I get what you're saying. It's May. But what if these things are repeatable? You know? Like, I don't know. We talked a couple weeks ago about the Patriots, and you guys played a clip of Adam Schefter saying that they're going to be a sneaky team.
Yes.
The win total is 8.5. I mean, they're essentially on the cusp of being a playoff team to begin with. I just don't know about the offense, guys. I don't. I think defensively they're a lot better. They certainly overpaid to shore up that side of the ball, and those Vrabel teams in Tennessee were always very good on defense. I still have some concerns about the quarterback. And I don't know that they were able to fix the offensive line. Now, they addressed it, but you got a rookie starting at left tackle, a second-year quarterback, without a lot of weapons to begin with. I mean, they got Mac Hollins and Stephon Diggs. I mean, that's not exactly the greatest receiver room in the league. I'm sorry. And now you're going to hand the backfield off potentially to a rookie running back. That's a lot of rookie there, guys. I don't think I agree with you. I'm sorry.
I should have just called you then because I wouldn't have to worry about the Vic.
I feel somewhat partially responsible here for this, Sam, because like Mike indicated, we ran through their schedule late in yesterday's show and trying to be like fair, objective about it, not jerky. I think I got them to 10 wins. It's not a real hard schedule.
Can I say to that too, please? It's also that the first half of it is really easy. So we did this yesterday, as you're saying, and we got them to 6-2.
Right.
And then I can maybe hedge a little bit. Right? At that point, if I'm 6-2, then what are my odds of missing the playoffs at that point? That's one of the reasons I picked New England, because I think they'll start well. So there's that.
One of us is going to be right. One of us is going to be wrong. That's the way it goes. I do think, though, because guys, I'll be honest, I don't really study the schedules like that. I just don't. I think it's a waste of time because injuries change everything. I did this last year with the Texans, right? I went under on the Texans. I'm like, oh, my God, look at all these quarterbacks they face, and then all of them got hurt. So, I mean, they just faced a bunch of backup quarterbacks all year. C.J. Stroud was good last year. He was great his rookie year. But they were facing – I mean, they missed out on Dak and Rodgers, and, like, Tua was hurt. So the schedule game could all swing on teams' health. I think – what's interesting, though, Mike, if you're right about this early part of the schedule, you could be in a spot where you could be holding over 8.5. You bet over 8.5, right? Is that the bet?
Playoffs.
Oh, make the playoffs. Okay, yeah. So you could essentially free roll the Patriots if they start 6-2, and then right. I mean they're going to be at that point they'd be minus 400 or 450 to make, and then you could take plus 375 on the no and kick your feet up. That is a decent plan of attack. I will tell you, though, I'm looking at the board right now in week number 1. The wise guys are coming in, and they're betting the Raiders. They're taking the points week 1 against the Pats.
What is it, 3?
It is 3 at a couple shops right now. I saw 4 when it opened. So, I mean, that's a couple pops to move that market in the end of May, if you know what I mean. I mean, that's some decent money from players that win. I see a 2.5 at Pinnacle right now.
That's a sneaky big game for a wild card. I mean, both teams are hoping to make that jump and maybe even expecting to. Pete Carroll, Mike Vrabel. You're not rebuilding anymore when you do that. That's a sneaky big week 1 game for this. So even just 1 week alone, I might be in notably better shape if I get a win there.
Sam, not like we need a reason to talk about the division the Bills are in on a daily basis, but we spent some time on the Dolphins yesterday too, because the report that they were looking maybe to trade Jonnu Smith to Pittsburgh dropped right as we were starting our show and captured our attention, and we ended up talking about that for, I don't know, almost the first hour. I feel like Miami and what's going on there. I think the league at large, like people talking about the league, seem down on Miami. I'm in that group. I think Miami is going the wrong way. What do you think?
I don't know about the coach. I was big on him, too. I bet him for Coach of the Year 2 years ago. And at one point in the season, he was favored. And I don't know what the hell happened last year. It looked like he regressed. It looked like he got too cute. I remember vividly coming on this show a week after I had bet them, and he had Achane, and who was the other back? Was it Mostert last year?
Mm-hmm.
They were running for 5 yards a pop, and on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, he went fullback wham on both plays, and the fullback fumbled on 4th down. And he outsmarts himself all the time, and I wonder in that room how he's received. I don't know. I'm just like pontificating about this. I wonder if some of those guys in that room are like, all right, this guy's got to go. Because he does give the vibes of a coach that came in hot. Everybody was putting him on this pedestal. And if you look at the trajectory of him there, it's really good out of the gate, and it's gotten worse. That is a guy that, some people have these markets at some of their books. First coach fired. I would be very interested in a piece of a Mike McDaniel first coach fired bet. I think that has combustibility written all over it. And once you lose Tyreek Hill, the whole thing could fall apart.
I haven't looked at that one yet, but I want to now. Sam Panayotovich on the West Shore Hotline. Mike Schopen, the Bulldog here. Here's another NFL futures thought, although I'm not sure you can literally or exactly bet this. Looking at the AFC and NFC Championship odds today, Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore, not in that order, by the way, are right together. Plus 350, BetMGM, plus 350, plus 350, plus 375. Cincinnati is 4th at plus 1,000. That's a pretty big jump or fall. What would you bet, either of you, between one of Chiefs, Bills, Ravens win the AFC or everyone else, the field?
What city am I in right now?
Ashland, Massachusetts.
You trying to get me there, Schopp? I know what you're doing. I mean, we talked about this. I think it was last week or the week before. This is the year. This has to be the year for Buffalo. I would bet them of the three. And you're talking to somebody who for the last 5 years has bet Kansas City every August to win the Super Bowl. I believe last 6 years actually, because they have 3 wins in the game, 2 losses in the game, and then they were a 7-point favorite against Cincinnati AFC title game. So that bet has literally made me a lot of money and put me in great spots. Like I could take the other team in the Super Bowl, or I could have taken the Bengals plus 7, Bengals money line. That Chief bet has put me in a great spot. And here I am finding myself on the Bills this
You're
year.
off it.
I think it's time to flip. Yeah, I'm probably going to hate myself when the Chiefs beat the Bills again, but I think this is the year, guys. And I didn't say that last year.
No.
I'm saying that this year.
I hope we haven't in some way subliminally massaged your brain in such a way that you feel compelled to bet the Bills just because you enjoy doing this with us or something. I don't want any responsibility for it. I would also bet the Bills.
But I'm asking if you would take those 3 teams or the field.
I would take those 3 teams over the field. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, please. I mean, the field. I mean, those 3 together would. I don't even know what the price would be. Minus 1,500 or something.
That high?
I mean,
okay.
It has to be. I mean, who else is knocking on the door? I don't know who. Like, if I was having a draft, it's obviously 1, 2, 3. Those 3 that you mentioned, but nobody else really scares me.
Okay.
I was laughing. I thought of you guys actually this morning because I saw this. There was a sports book that tweeted out that a bettor in Illinois wagered $100 on the Bills to have the worst record in the NFL. It is 750 to 1. It would pay 75,000. I think that's a horrible bet, though.
Would you put 10 on it? If not 100?
No. Would you?
No, I wouldn't do that.
On this radio station?
No. The fourth team, Sam, that comes to mind to me, maybe I'm still spooked by a playoff loss from 3 years ago now, but I feel like there's a good team in there in the Bengals. And I mean, certainly the offense is explosive. I want to trust that they'll figure out how to not just be it's a broken dam on defense. They got to get Hendrickson figured out, obviously. But I feel like that's the next team that I would think of.
They're fourth.
Great offense, no doubt. Great offense. Question mark on defense? So if questions are answered and holes are shored up, yeah, I get it. I mean, they have one of the best quarterbacks in the league, undoubtedly. And the weapons are all there on offense. That's going to be like the equivalent of a beer league softball team. They're going to have to win every game 35-31 or something like that. I don't forecast many times that I'll be looking to bet an under on a Bengals game. Now the books will always catch up. You never want to blind bet anything.
Yeah.
I haven't been following Hendrickson. I did notice it was a week ago or maybe 10 days ago where he was basically saying like, I don't want to be here in so many words. And now I got like all my Bears buddies back home who are saying Super Bowl, those morons. They're also, go get Hendrickson. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that will make them a Super Bowl contender. But didn't they lose? It was either 3 or 4 games last year. They scored 35 points and lost. That can't happen.
There was some of that. Let's get around a little bit here. Sam Panayotovich, our guest, wouldn't be a segment with Sam if we didn't at least once mention the Rockies. The Rockies on this May 30th, I mean, we're 2 months in, are still sitting at 9 wins. They are 22 games out of third on May 30th.
They're gonna finish. I'm gonna call it right now. They are gonna finish 60 games out of fourth. That's my prediction.
Wow. Yeah, they're quite a ways back from fourth, as you'd expect with a record like that. 9 wins in 2 months.
Wow.
I think I saw from you this morning that you're on the Pacers. -3.5. Want maybe like sort of an eye roll reason to oppose that? Maybe the obvious one is, and I really would ask your opinion of this. I'm not really giving you a serious one myself, really. It's that Indiana and Oklahoma City is the final. I mean, come on, give me the Knicks and the points in Game 6. Give me the Monday night.
If David Stern was still here,
yes,
I would agree with you. I don't think Adam Silver is one of those guys. I thought all along the Pacers were a better team. Fox asked me to make a pick, and oh great, there's nothing like making a pick on something you don't like. But I did land on the Pacers, and it was +140 at the time I bet it. So I'm a little biased here. I'm coming from a position where I need them to win. So I think this is their best shot. I will say this: if you think the Knicks can do it. Again, I never want to speak in absolutes. So, I mean, I like the Pacers. Doesn't mean they're going to win and cover. I just think they're the better team, and playing at home, they're going to get back to the basics. They're going to run, they're going to gun, they're going to get up and down the court, and they're going to wear the Knicks out. That's my MO, at least, or that's my prediction. But I think something that we discussed in the Stanley Cup playoffs, I think this would have been 2 weeks ago, when Bulldog asked me about Toronto and Florida, and I said, I kind of like Florida to win Game 7. I think if you like the Knicks, you bet the series. I wouldn't bet. Well, you could bet the points, I guess. You could take 3.5. People are grown men, grown women. They can do whatever they want. But I think if the Knicks win tomorrow, they win it in 7. And that's a nice way to put it in a plus price. You could probably get the Knicks. I'm going to guess could be like 275 or 3-1 to win the series. That's probably not a bad idea if you like the Knicks, because if they win 6. They got all the momentum going back 7, going back home. That's going to be a tough building to win in Game 7.
Your Florida thesis, though, was that Toronto evens it up and then Florida wins on the road, which is what happened there. But maybe like enough of a better team. You wouldn't see that for Indiana.
No, I don't like them. I think they would be so rattled by not delivering that knockout blow, because you got to knock these teams out, and they have every opportunity here tomorrow, and I feel like it's going to escape them if they don't take care of business tomorrow. So if you like the Knicks, sure, take the points. But if the Knicks, I'm going to call that, if the Knicks win tomorrow, they're going to win it in Game 7.
Okay.
You got to pour one out for my long shot 4-team championship bet, Sam. It was a lonely moment when I logged into my app this morning and saw no active bets, because that has been keeping me company since mid-February when I bet $10 on the Thunder, the Stars, the Mets, and the Bills to all win titles in their leagues, and my Dallas Stars just could not get there. Edmonton looks hot. What do you have you looked at what the Cup final looks like, and do you have a lean at this point?
McDavid looks possessed, Bulldog.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell you. I mean, good grief. And they keep circumventing a lot of issues on defense. I mean, they're missing one of their best defensemen. The goalie he's been good as of late, but he's super hit or miss. Thing is, you can't take the puck away from those guys. That's the problem. And they just outpossess you, and they make you work so hard on D to get the puck back. And when they come at you on that power play, good grief. I mean, forget about it. I was watching a lot of that series because I had Dallas, too, in a parlay that is now dead. So we're partners there in parlay terms. I was watching Dallas struggle to get 3 shots on a power play, right, and Edmonton's getting 3 with every cycle, and you're like, oh, my goodness, this is a heavyweight against a cruiserweight. I mean, if you commit a penalty against Edmonton, they bury you. And that's what happened to Dallas. I mean, I turned the game on last night. It's 2-0 Oilers.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. And then, you're not going to catch them when they're going. So I hope McDavid wins. I had a buddy that texted me last night. I needed Dallas. And he goes, yeah, good luck getting through the Michael Jordan of hockey. And I thought, damn, he's right. Like, there's no way they're going to come back and win the series. And you knew right away. I hope Edmonton wins. I'm pulling for them. I didn't make a bet, but I would go Oilers. It's like -115. It's a coin flip series.
Yeah.
But McDavid looks like he's ready for coronation.
They're home this year, unlike last year, for the best of 7. And I thought it was interesting that McDavid was even money to win the Conn Smythe, but Draisaitl was plus 750. Is there really, Bulldog, that much of a gap between the two?
I haven't kept track of the points, but McDavid won it with, I think, 34 assists last year, and he's going to get close to that again. So
they could lose again, and he could win it again anyway.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Pretty good.
But that is a big gap, those two guys, because Draisaitl could just go off too. Yeah.
So McDavid's got 26 points. Draisaitl has 25. The number one scorer on Florida is Barkov. He's got 17. So McDavid is almost 10 points up on Barkov.
The 1995 Pacers up 3-1 against the Knicks. Lost 5 in New York, lost 6 at home, and then won it in Game 7 in New York. I'm sure that's really important to point out that 30 years ago when these same two teams played. And David Stern was the commissioner. Indiana took it. All right, Sam. Yes?
If I was going to be a meatball, I'd say that wouldn't have happened if Jordan didn't go play baseball.
Maybe right. Exciting weekend plans at all?
No, I got nothing. I'm going to be in the garden. She goes, I need 3 hours in the garden. I go, oh, great. Here we go.
Enjoy it.
The 3 hours. That's a joke. It's going to be 8.
Right? We'll find out. It's never
I'll send pictures.
It's never what I want to do, but I can tell myself to get into it and just find things about working outside that I like, and it helps. So if you need that, feel free to take it. Sam Pani, you're welcome. Thank you, Sam. And enjoy your weekend. Sam Paniotovich, Bet Sweats, Odyssey Sports Betting Insider. Check him out, the Odyssey app, or the Bet 1520 weekday mornings with Joe Ostrowski. That's right now. That's last weekend to the big garden store. Like I mentioned, we did that, planting flowers and digging and mulching and all that exciting stuff.
I believe my wife got flowers that are supposed to be for the hollowed out tree stump planter thing that I'm creating. So that's my day tomorrow. That's it. All right. As early as it's okay to run a power drill outside, that's where I'll be. Can't wait.
Your neighbors are being warned right now.
Yes, that is. I'll wait till I'm not going to start up at, I'll wait until 10 a.m. on a Saturday. I'm not going to get out there before that.
I think it's good to add an hour on the weekends. I think it's 9
for lawnmower. On a Monday through Friday, sure. Yeah.
And then 10 on the weekends?
Yeah. That's always been my rule of thumb.
I like it.
Yeah.
Coming up, Connor Rogers. We'll talk some more NFL with him. Paul Hamilton will join us later in the show. The Sabres hire former Blue Jackets GM Jarmo Kekalainen.
Brought
The Buffalo Sabres are adding to their front office as the team has officially hired Jarmo Kekalainen to be the team's senior advisor. He is going to report to general manager Kevin Adams and will be involved in all areas of the hockey department. And most recently for Kekalainen, he was the general manager of the Columbus Blue Jackets. He was the general manager there from 2013 to 2024. Our own Paul Hamilton has more on this hiring up at our website, WGR550.com, and do stay tuned. Paul will join the show at 5:30. We also had movement in the Bills front office. Terrence Gray has been promoted to assistant general manager. Now the Bills do have 2 assistant GMs as Gray joins Brian Gain in that role. No official word yet on the Eagles reportedly trading edge rusher Bryce Huff to the 49ers, but it has been reported that will be happening. The compensation, though, has not yet been reported. Stanley Cup Final is going to be a rematch from last year, the Panthers taking on the Oilers. That series, though, is going to be a little while till it starts next Wednesday evening in Edmonton. And coverage of the Stanley Cup Final on WGR is presented by Figo Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. Bison continue their series tonight against the Charlotte Knights. First pitch set for 6:05. You can catch that on our sister station, the Bet 1520. And also in baseball, a World Series rematch starts this evening. The Yankees are in L.A. to take on the Dodgers, a 3-game series with tonight's game getting started just after 10 o'clock. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I got a speeding ticket in the mail yesterday.
In the mail?
Yeah. I think I'm going to just ignore it.
It's Mike Schopp
Where was this?
Spain.
and the Bulldog.
I think if I just lay low, I think I'll get away with it.
Not mention it on the air?
Definitely don't want to talk about it on the air.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog
I like the sound of this more and more as we go. I'm an outlaw.
on WGR Sports Radio 550.
So far, so good?
No update. No.
Don't you kind of hope what happens is that they come for you and they only do because they found out you were sort of bragging publicly about not paying the ticket?
Yes, I think that could be good for me.
Like if you ended up having to pay a speeding ticket that you got in Spain because of this,
Yeah.
that's a great concept.
That's a win. That would be worth that. That's like a bet you get to talk about for 6 months that you lose, but content.
Worth it.
Like in this job, that's fine. Yeah.
As long as that's the end of it.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't involve serious,
extradition,
detention, and I'm sent whatever.
Guantanamo.
There's some nasty stuff going on in this country right now, so I don't want any part of that. But provided they demand payment, even with interest or something, I'm taking that as a win.
Connor Rogers with us on short notice. Thank you, Connor. He joins us on the Western Hotline. If you got a speeding ticket from another country, would you pay it?
Now you guys really have me thinking here. Like, number one, is Bulldog on the run? And we don't know. Like, he could be doing this show from anywhere right now. What are the options to pay it? Do I have to mail a global check? Is there an online portal? I have so many questions.
This is one of the things that freaked me out when this arrived in the mail months after we were in Spain last summer, and we were into the fall, if not like November already, when November is fall, when I got the notice. And someone else that was on the trip also got a similar notice. But there's a QR code. And I just thought, I don't know, this could be a scam. They know somebody knows I rented a car in Spain and they're sending this thing and I'm going to send them my credit. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it.
I assume everything is a scam at this point.
Right.
I would 100% ignore this. No way would I send $1.
But I did get a follow-up like a few months later, but it's the same deal, same form letter basically. Like, it's $100 fine, it's $50 if you pay it now, and like we're coming up on a year since the infraction. But I still could not bring myself to put my phone over that QR code and like take the picture and go to the web. I'm just like, no, I'm gonna lose everything.
I'm with Connor in that everything is a scam. My sister Betsy called me 2 days ago. I'm like, you know what? It wouldn't shock me if Capital One figured out how to call me as my sister.
Right. You can't trust anyone anymore. You just ignore everything until it's like really the witching hour, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I'm going to need the Spanish police on my porch, I think, is what's going to have to happen.
Mail a $100 bill. Can you, just mail a $100 bill and see if it's done?
Maybe
the safest route.
Maybe a 5. I might just try
This
that.
is where cash is missed in the world, significantly.
Yes. Also missed in the world, Aaron Rodgers. So I wonder, from your perspective with the Jets, Connor, how this looks. Like, I wonder, too, if when the Jets traded for him, you liked it. I'm sure we talked then. I did. I thought it made sense. Just go for it. Go be New York. Go get, a 4-time MVP. But it didn't go well, of course. How are you watching the Rodgers stuff, if you can stand to look at it?
Yeah, it's definitely a different perspective now, and I'm with you. I thought in that window it did make sense when you look at kind of, how Joe Douglas's timeline went. It didn't work with Sam Darnold, and I know he didn't pick Darnold, but they opted to, not continue to build around Darnold and move on from him when they hired the new coaching staff, and then they drafted Zach Wilson, and that was a disaster. So it was kind of like, man, you have one bullet left in the chamber, right? How are you going to use it if you're Joe Douglas, or else you're fired? And he took the biggest swing, and I think that's what anyone would do. So you could sit there and argue that his own shortcomings led to that level of risk of a move, but in that window, it was probably the best swing they could take. So, and at the end of the day, it didn't work out for, reasons that you can project with a quarterback that age. Health, obviously, decline last year was more of the reason. And then there's the circus. Let's just call it what it is. There's a circus that comes with Aaron Rodgers that I think at the time people were willing to overlook because of the desperation at the position, that now you look back on it and you go, wow, everything that a lot of the people in Green Bay were kind of naysaying at the time came to light with Rodgers and ran its course. And now you look at how he operates, and it's like, it is the juxtaposition to me, guys, is very funny right now. Watching the Jets with Aaron Glenn, who wanted nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers. You couldn't pay Aaron Glenn to have Aaron Rodgers on the roster. And they're now robot quarterback, I like to call him, in Justin Fields. And I mean that as a compliment. Like, every time Fields gets to the podium in the best way possible, it almost bores you. He's not flashy. He just wants to get better. He doesn't really have anything outlandish to say. You don't see him on podcasts. He's just a robot quarterback, which is kind of the comeback down to earth thing the Jets needed. Be boring this year is kind of their slogan. And Rodgers is still out there saying all kinds of crazy things while holding another team hostage this time.
Does it kind of blow your mind that the Steelers, just like all of us, would have watched this all go down with both the Packers at the end and the Jets for the last 2 years, and are still lighting candles for him? Like, I get that there's not a better option necessarily out there, but man, I just can't. I can't believe that it went the way it went, and there's still a team acting like the Steelers right now.
I mean, the definitive answer is yes. I cannot believe this. It's especially for them.
Right.
Number one is because I don't think he's good anymore. Okay, like that's the thing is with quarterbacks or any professional athlete, you put up with a lot of different things if they produce on the field, on the court, on the ice, wherever it may be. And Rodgers simply, and I know people like to throw numbers in the face or blame the Jets, which the Jets, listen, the Jets can take a brunt of the blame for a lot of players' shortcomings over the years. They gave Aaron Rodgers everything he ever wanted. They gave him his offensive staff. They gave him players he wanted. They drafted for him. They signed free agents for him. And at the end of the day, he wasn't good enough to lift the Jets, over this playoff hump that they've been kicking back and forth with the Sabres for 1,000,000 years at this point. And not to take a shot at Buffalo there, but I share the pain. Yes. I really do. It's just that's where it is right now. Why did the Steelers think it'll be different? Right. I don't know, especially with Arthur Smith, who is going to want to do things Arthur Smith's way, and Aaron Rodgers has shown you he wants to do things Aaron Rodgers' way. That is not changing. Nobody can actually really convince themselves of that. So I find it very odd. And Bulldog, to your point of there's not a lot of options, that's true. This quarterback class wasn't deep, but it's still surprising, that there wasn't a different option out in front of this one, because this feels really low on the scale you'd want to dive into.
With Connor Rogers, NBC, SNY, the Fantasy Football Happy Hour as well, Mike Schopen, the Bulldog here on WGR. 2 Fields and the Jets. Can it work? I mean, in fantasy, right, we love the idea of Justin Fields. Even with as low as the win total is for the Jets and maybe a relative paucity of weapons, as good as Wilson is. I'm not even sure that's right. But he goes way higher in a fantasy draft than he would in like a quarterback ranking, right, because of the upside with his running. Can it? Like, what odds would you give it that Fields has a season? And what is this season, Connor, where like after this year, the Jets are, or we're all really talking about like a bigger, longer deal for him?
I would call it about 20% chance he has that dream season or enough of a season that you go, okay, I want to see year 2 of Fields, which he's signed for, and we're going to keep trying to build with this. I'd call it about 60% chance that he's more of what he's always been or more of what the Steelers had, where you can win games with him. He will not propel you to wins, and that's exactly the dollars he was signed for when you look at the structure of the contract. And then the Jets are kind of going into the draft saying, hey, we're going to look for our next guy. Fields might open the season as the starter, so we don't have to rush this guy, but Fields is not the long-term future. And then there's the 20% chance on the other end that he just totally bombs out and Tyrod Taylor has to finish this season. So, yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be closer to what we've seen with him more recently, that he's a capable starter when the infrastructure around him is good enough to lift them to wins. In fantasy, yeah, the conversation is different because he has the ceiling because of the rushing, but he also has the floor because of the rushing, and the numbers don't lie. Like when Justin Fields is a starting quarterback, he is a highly productive fantasy football quarterback, and I think another thing people are kind of feeling a little better about with him is that it's a weird double-edged sword, right? The good side of it is Garrett Wilson, I think, is the best receiver he's going to throw to at the NFL level, and it works out well for Garrett. On the other side of it, the Jets have no other pass catchers in that wide receiver room that give you a lot of promise. It's more about Breece Hall catching the ball, Mason Taylor, the rookie tight end. They have a lot to be desired there where they're going to run the ball a lot. So, yeah, if I had to truly say that the runaway favorite is Fields will be fine, but he won't be good enough that the Jets aren't looking for their future of the quarterback in round 1 next year. That would be the runaway favorite right now.
It's kind of funny, like at Underdog, Connor, Fields, Wilson, Breece Hall, they're like all rank about the same at their respective positions. Fields is maybe quarterback 12, Wilson is wide receiver 13, Breece Hall is running back 13. So I don't know how rare that might be, but just for a team that isn't really like established here with the new quarterback, it's funny that they all sort of slot in the same on the same row, basically.
How optimistic are you? You just sort of put percentages on it there, so I'm sorry to clumsily repeat the question. It's not the same question. Really, what I want to know is when you look at Fields, I'm assuming you've done some work on him because he's the Jets quarterback now. Is it just processing? Because the talent, the running is there, the arm is there, and when he knows where he's going with the ball, it seems like he delivers it pretty well. It's the confusion is the problem, and I don't know. That feels like a harder thing to expect a guy to suddenly have the light go on for if it hasn't happened yet.
That's exactly right. It's the processing speed and holding on to the ball too long. And, you know, the beauty of that is he's mobile enough to extend plays, run, or roll out and throw on the run. The tough part of that is it just slows down your offense in terms of playing point guard at the position. And that's kind of been his problem is speeding up that internal clock, and then you have to kind of construct an offense where that limits that situation. You don't want to find yourself playing for, down 2 touchdowns in the second half where we're in this throw-heavy script. We'd rather be in a run-heavy script. And I think for the Jets, what they're excited about with him is, you look at what the Commanders did, Cliff Kingsbury and Jaden Daniels last year, and not that Fields will have a Jaden Daniels year, that's ridiculous, but from a schematic standpoint, a lot of that zone read run game will help Breece Hall. It'll help the offensive line. It'll help Justin Fields. It'll absolutely just create more space in a numbers game that the Jets last year were insanely easy to play against. I mean, they didn't run under center. Aaron Rodgers was in shotgun or pistol. He can't move. They really had no motion in the offense, no movement, no eye candy. So for Fields' shortcomings as a thrower, the longer the play goes, there's different wrinkles that Tanner Engstrand is going to be able to develop in this offense to make you feel a little better about it than what they were dealing with last year. So, yeah, that is going to be it, though. Like, if his processing speed doesn't improve, he is going to be a guy that always finds himself in this, hey, let's give it a year with him and see if he can, a bridge guy in short terms, if we can build this offense around his strengths.
with Connor Rogers, mentioning Breece Hall earlier, there was trade speculation about him around the time of the draft, and he was not traded. Did you buy that? And because I couldn't really understand why they would want to trade him. Is it maybe just 1 year up from a contract, like same as James Cook, by the way? Because I think Hall has shown to be excellent, or at least pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's a weird one, right? Where I think it kind of created its own life and got ran away with. I think that they are lower in the building on Breece Hall than people would expect because he hasn't been healthy, and this is a new staff. But these coaches know things, and the people in the building know things, and they'd like to see more from him. And you are at the point where, say, this year kind of plays out like last year, and then he just walks away for nothing because the running backs don't get paid enough that your compensatory pick value will really be worth much. But at the end of the day, it always made more sense for the Jets to keep Breece Hall because it's so easy with the pending running back free agents. If he has the season from a talent perspective that we all know he can have, you just franchise tag him. And it's a low number. It's so easy to retain a running back on that first franchise tag. If he has a really, really bad season, then they'll probably just let him walk or bring him back on a really, really cheap deal. So, and I think the other thing is nobody was going to trade a real asset for a running back in a draft that was loaded at running back.
Yeah.
There was so much talent in this class. Everybody felt like they could find starters in the top 100. And I think it's more that the Jets like their three running backs, Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis, behind him, where they don't want Breece to have to be a hero back, and his body hasn't shown us that he can handle that yet.
How different is it with Aaron Glenn there in the job? You mentioned, what would you say their slogan? Be boring?
Be boring.
Right.
Yeah, it's very different, I think, from a standpoint of, he's used the phrase celebrity quarterback before. He's just clearly, Glenn is so fixated on this being about the 53-man roster where Saleh, fell into this really bad habit of when Zach Wilson was an anchor for the team before they got Rodgers, and it wasn't just Saleh. Saleh said it publicly, but there was assistant coaches that I know were saying this around the building. They were just saying, we're a quarterback away, we're a quarterback away, we're a quarterback away. And sure, Zach Wilson didn't play well enough where he deserved the benefit of the doubt, but when Rodgers got there, I think it made everybody lighten up to a point where the defense took a step back. Guys weren't as dialed in. The accountability was completely missing. The discipline was a joke. I mean, the Jets were running up penalties at an alarming number. They clearly didn't prepare the right way. Whether, you're there or not, it's pretty easy to see how it translated every single Sunday or when they had to play a million times on Mondays and Thursdays. And at the end of the day, much to our chagrin, and, at the end of the day, Aaron Glenn is sitting there and making it about the 53-man roster, getting on guys. And he will be a drill sergeant when he has to, but he has that clout because Aaron Glenn was a great player in this league. He's been a great player in the league. He's been a great coach in the league. Yeah, assistant coach, not head coach. And he's scouted before. So he's done the triangle of the NFL where he has a little bit merit to act that way and hopefully build out a team that when a rookie quarterback gets here one day, if Fields isn't the guy, that he's walking into a place where he's part of the team. He's not trying to uplift and be a savior for the team.
Man, no kidding about the Jets in prime time. This year,
oh my goodness,
this year it's only 2 and both are away, not including the game in London against Denver, which I think technically is also away, even though. But at Miami on a Monday night, Week 4, at New England on a Thursday night, Week 11. There's no scheduled primetime game at the Jets this year, and maybe you'll enjoy that. I mean, we look at this from both sides. We had years. We talked about one yesterday, Connor, where the Bills literally played 16 out of 16 1 o'clock Sunday games. They didn't have a West Coast trip. They were never on at night. That was 2010. And then, this year they have 7 or something. The 2 years ago, they played 7 night games. So it's different times here.
Yeah, it's weird, right? It's a dream, I think, when you're covering the team and when you're a player, because I like to call it, rest versus irregular rest is what I kind of barrel it down to. And there is data backing up shortcomings of this. And the Jets were not going to be good last year, if they played every game at 1 o'clock. But it certainly did not help them playing these irregular weeks. They had a bizarre schedule. They were constantly playing in primetime, short weeks, long weeks, and Yeah, at the end, obviously London, which they just are obsessed with. It's an owner decision, I think, or influence decision. It's just whatever. And I think when it comes down to it, I think, but Josh Allen is prime time. Everybody wants to see Josh Allen. And the Bills, the difference with the Bills, though, and the Jets last year is the Bills have sustainability, that they're built for it, where it's this consistent at the coaching staff, consistent with the quarterback, consistent in terms of their scheme principles on both sides of the ball. Where the Jets last year, Rodgers coming off the Achilles, it felt like they just tried to microwave everything, and then they had this wild schedule, and it all kind of blew up in their face.
Yeah. The Denver game, by the way, is technically a home game for the Jets. I was maybe a little bit confusing there. The Bills have perhaps somewhat of a quandary at running back with James Cook, having broken down some of the Breece Hall stuff. Cook not around for, it's so far only voluntary practices, but he's been a little bit public on trying to get paid, like an elite running back. And he had 18 regular season touchdowns last year, 16 on the ground to tie for the league lead. Any thoughts on him, like how important he might be as you see it to the Bills if he were to drag this out through the summer and, sort of force the Bills' hand or try to? How much trouble would the Bills be in?
I don't think a lot, honestly. I know that might be jarring to people. Would you like them to get a James Cook deal done? Yeah, of course. Can you buy out 2 franchise tags or whatever you need to do? I don't think touchdowns are a very stable metric, as impressive as it was. I think scoring touchdowns is a skill, an underrated skill. But I think based on where you are, it's not a stable metric where, Ray Davis is a fine player. I liked Ray Davis a lot in college, and I kind of, called him a Honda Civic in that draft, where he's just going to do everything the right way and give you 250,000 miles and go about your business without much flash, but a lot of substance. You'd like to see the Cook deal get done, but I don't think it significantly affects their offense in some kind of way where, you look at the Bills and be like, now they're in trouble. So I don't blame them for being kind of dug in. Because if you just kind of look at, is he a replaceable player? You'd like to have more time to do that, whether it's another draft or whatever it may be. But on the flip side of it for Cook, you need to be a little careful here as well. And because these running back holdouts, I think we're kind of at the point with them where have they done any good for anyone?
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Josh Jacobs when he did it, and there's just a laundry list of these where it just often doesn't really play out in your favor. So I think for both sides, it would just make sense. Can you find a way to sweeten the pot, whether it's guaranteed money or some kind of Band-Aid deal that helps both sides? I don't see why this would drag out deep into camp if just what history has shown us and how it doesn't help.
Yeah, I wonder if they won't just dig in on the franchise side of this thing, Connor, and I don't know. I don't want to say dare him because, they have a Super Bowl team here. They're trying to win the Super Bowl, and I don't think they want players feeling like they're not taking care of their guys or anything like that. But the Bills really have the leverage, like you mentioned it. Who wins in these running back holdouts? A guy, he's eventually going to come in. Like if the Bills, they can't find a number that's agreeable, and I don't think they're going near $15 million here, which is what he's dreaming about. Then I think they would just let him come in and play and hope they get his best and let him go on his way.
And that's honestly, people might not want to hear it, but that's what they should do. And I think it's right. When you look at it, too, the Bills don't have the problem that some organizations have where everybody's looking around and going, God, they're not taking care of Cook with all he's done. What does that say about this organization? They don't have that problem. They've paid a ton of people. They've paid a ton of people early. And it's worked out for them for the most part. They've gotten ahead of deals, and guys want to stay there. And like I said, it goes back to the word sustainability that I used earlier. So it's not like when the Bengals don't deserve the benefit of the doubt, right? Even after they got Burrow and the receivers done, which was startling because it feels like they are never able to do that. Now Trey Hendrickson's situation is loud, and rightfully so. And they've been kind of playing with their food with Hendrickson's deal for a long time. The Bills don't have that same issue where I don't think players look around and go, oh, Buffalo, I'm going to give it my all, and they're going to kind of spit me out of the wash. So I think this is more of a running back CBA issue right now that's not going away, and you better be a special – I think it comes down to this. You need to be a special running back in this league to get that kind of extension. There's maybe 4 guys like that in this league right now, and I think James Cook is a fine football player, and I tip my cap to everything he's done since he got there. I don't think he's a special running back in this league where it would completely flatten the Bills' offense without him.
Connor, you gave us a lot of your time here, a lot of insight, as always. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy your weekend.
Thanks for having me, guys. Always a blast. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Connor Rogers, NBC, SNY, also the Fantasy Football Happy Hour. We never get to fantasy with Connor.
Wait, maybe we should. Maybe
I plan to.
Maybe you should have him on your thing.
ADP chasing?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't know that. I didn't want to say the wrong name.
It's not burned into your brain yet?
No.
By all of my mentions of it? That's all right. That's fair. That's fair. Lines are open for your calls. We've got some time coming up. Paul will join us at 5:30. Talk about the Sabres hire, and maybe we'll get back to that here right after the update. Mike Schopen, the Bulldog, WGR.
Never miss a second.
Living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time. To all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster. Oh, roller coaster.
Have made an addition to their front office as the team is officially hiring Jarmo Kekalainen to be the senior advisor. He is going to report to the general manager, Kevin Adams, and will be involved in all areas of the hockey department. Kekalainen's most recent stint was as a general manager with the Columbus Blue Jackets. He was there in that role from 2013 to 2024. For more on this, Paul Hamilton has a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. And do stay tuned. Paul will join the show here in just about an hour at 5:30. Movement also in the Bills front office today. Terrence Gray was promoted to assistant general manager, and that now makes 2 assistant GMs for the Bills as Gray joins Brian Gain in that role. Stanley Cup Final will be a rematch from last year. Panthers taking on the Oilers. Oilers, though, have home advantage. The series is going to begin next Wednesday evening in Edmonton. And coverage of the Stanley Cup Final on WGR is presented by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. And the Bisons, they're in action tonight. They continue their series against the Charlotte Knights. First pitch set for 6:05, and you can catch all the action over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. It's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
We had talked endlessly in this series about trying to play with the lead. And obviously we were in a 2-0 hole right away. And you know what, I didn't take that lightly, and I didn't blame it all on Jake. But, you know, the reality is if you go back to last year's playoffs, you know, he's lost 6 to 7 games to Edmonton, and we gave up 2 shots on 2 goals and an elimination game. So, you know, it was partly to spark our team and wake them up, and partly, you know, knowing that status quo had not been working, you know, and that's a pretty big sample size.
Dallas Stars coach Peter DeBoer really singling out his goalie. He'd probably tell you he wasn't. Not to blame it all on Jake. You're blaming it a lot on him.
He's lost 6 of 7.
Yeah, not they.
Going back to last year, he's lost 6 of 7. That is telling, I think.
Sample size is tough, too. Really, you could leave that out because that's kind of the opposite of what you mean. It's really kind of the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Sample size, 7 games. That's not a sample size at all.
I was blown. I think a lot of people were. I mean, you can understand. Part of it's understandable. I got to do something, right? This is Lindy Ruff to you 20 years ago, 30 years. How many years ago? Like, I changed the lines. I got to do something. I mean, I don't know what. I get it. It blew my mind that he did that, especially the way it went down. Was this on ESPN or TNT? I don't know if were you watching?
I wasn't with the hockey last night.
I didn't want to ask you. Oh, that's right. You had lacrosse stuff.
I was in Thorold,
right?
Which might be a place where you can see an NHL game, but on TV somewhere. But that was not available to me.
The second goal goes in. The goals are all right. It's a layup from McDavid in the corner to an uncovered Corey Perry all alone in front. He kind of flubs the shot, so it goes through Ottinger kind of weakly. So, that cuts both ways. It's a wide open guy in front of the net on a power play, which, just awful job by the Stars. But you could have done better there, I suppose, if you're Ottinger. The second goal is a breakaway. And no, it's not McDavid or Draisaitl, but whatever. And they call timeout. Everyone comes over, including Ottinger, and he's in the huddle of the guys who are on the ice, and the timeout's over. He starts to skate away, and DeBoer yells at him, Jake, get the blank out of there. Get out of there. It's just such a weird thing to do at the end of that timeout the way he did. Ottinger definitely did not get clued in prior to him turning his back and going back to the net that he was getting pulled. So, I don't know, it felt almost like DeBoer just in a moment there at the end of the time just went, I'm doing it. Which maybe is not the best way to make a decision of that magnitude. So, I could not believe he pulled him.
He almost sounded offended by the goaltender for giving up 2 early goals after we talked about not doing, he almost sounded like he meant to. I mean, he was offended to have this happen. And
he showed him up. You want us to get a lead? Try this. You. Yeah. So that was weird. I don't know how widely this was circulated. I didn't see it until this afternoon. No, I saw it this morning before I played golf because I was up before it got light out. DeBoer walking out to the bench for the start of the second period. Ottinger is standing there because his seat ends up being right next to Ray Ferraro, as it turns out, which was also weird.
That's awkward for the announcer.
Yeah, right? And Sean McDonough was going hard on, I can't believe they pulled him and all this stuff. And, Ray Ferraro's sitting there and, Ottinger's right next to him. I mean, anyway. But DeBoer, Ottinger's out there giving high fives to all the guys as they walk by to start the second period. And DeBoer walks past him. And, I mean, Ottinger's head is down, and DeBoer just doesn't even look at him. Just blows right past him and goes to the bench. And coupled with the way he sounded afterward, I mean, I don't know. Maybe DeBoer knows he's getting fired after losing in the conference finals again, which I know, over here we'd be like, conference finals.
Is that going to happen?
I don't know. But they have hit their head now 2 years in a row to that team. The year before was, I don't remember who they lost to, but they can't get over the hump. There might be an end of the line coming there. And I don't think I don't know. Maybe he knows that, and it's part of why he's talking the way he's talking, because if he's got to repair a relationship with his superstar stud goalie, I wish him luck, because he sounded kind of like a jerk toward him last night.
Ottinger is signed through 2033 at $8.25 million per, so that's 8 more years at that price, and he has a no movement clause until 2031.
Yeah.
So he's their bigger investment
for sure.
Unless they're annoyed with him beyond the head coach.
Yeah, that would really surprise me. But I mean, I don't know the inner workings of the organization. Obviously, I can't believe it happened, and I also can't believe he went in as hard as he went about 6 out of 7. He's lost 6 out of 7 to that team going back to last year. I mean, you want to give the spark your team speech? Give the spark your team speech. This isn't on him at all. We didn't help him out. It's a power play goal, guy uncovered in front. So I had to do something. That to me is entirely defensible. I had to do something. You can argue about whether it should have been done or not, but to talk the way he did after is worse, I think. He should have lied. If he was being honest there, I assume he's being honest there. He's got the stats and everything, 6 out of 7 games and all this.
He's being honest And I think he's talking as just sort of gently as he can muster the strength to do. Like, he's so hot about the goaltending that it shows. It clearly shows, but he really wants to say a lot more than that. Because you wouldn't, if you were, like, he's down here, and he says what he says. So he's probably up here. Mm-hmm. For those not watching on Twitch or YouTube, I'm moving my hand up and down. So he, if he only felt like this, it would have been nice if we'd gotten a couple saves, and he would be able to temper that and be like, "You guys been great for us."
Yeah,
that's just all that I'm thinking about right now.
You can't. I'd have a very hard time hearing. I'm not blaming the entire thing on him, but going back to last year, he's lost 6 of 7 to that team.
It's bad. It's bad.
What are you doing?
It was Vegas 3 years ago when they went on and beat Florida in the finals. So he's been their coach, Dallas, for 3 years. They've made the conference finals and lost all 3. I am wearing, again, for those not watching, I'm often not even turned toward the camera anyway.
You are color coordinated today.
I am.
I feel like that.
This was intentional today.
Yeah, it's a nice
seafoam.
It works.
Thank you. My glasses have some green. My shirt is seafoam green. So I went with my Seattle Kraken visor today. And that was a choice based on, that was a fashion choice. How do you feel about wearing another NHL team or even NFL team, logo on your person? Is it bad in Buffalo to wear a Seattle? I'm not a Seattle Kraken fan. I went to Seattle and bought the hat.
Yeah.
Is it bad to wear? I mean, it depends on the team.
Probably, yeah. I feel like the Seattle Kraken are new enough and far enough away and just not really in our hair in any way, shape, or form. So I think it's completely harmless and therefore fine. I could see me getting to, if I ever get to the store and don't just shop online. Although I've bought all the hats that I wear, the new era fitted caps with the flat brims that I've been wearing. I don't hardly wear them in here, but I've worn a few of them in here. I've bought them all online. I haven't gone to the store. And I feel like if I go to the store, I'm going to really like a Denver Broncos hat or something. Like, I'm just going to be like, I have golf clothes that color or something. There's going to be some coordination that's going to, like you, with the seafoam, it's like the click, and I'm going to end up with a Detroit Lions hat or something. And I don't think I want to end up there, but I'm not against it.
I had this thought yesterday. I walked past a Lids and thought, that used to be my jam, as you would say. But I don't really wear hats or visors hardly anymore because I don't want to confuse our viewers. Because the morning show, they're always both wearing hats.
Yes.
Sal was in this week. Sal isn't wearing a hat. But Jeremy and Joe are always wearing hats.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever seen them without one on the stream. And you and I never are.
Right.
So I didn't think about that when I slapped the Kraken visor.
Yeah,
on.
I don't know. We haven't done 10,000 shows on the stream yet, but whatever number we've done is a single-digit percentage of times I've been wearing a hat, I think.
Yeah.
So I've worn a few of them, but I just don't every day. I wear them when I golf. That's really what they're there for.
I like this visor. I have a couple of winter leaf hats, toques, that I like, but I really don't want to be wearing that out.
Right.
And, football, I've got just kind of randomly Arizona, New Orleans, and I also just don't wear those out because what's that, right? Why?
Yeah.
Why am I wearing an Arizona Cardinals visor? Of course, we hate them too, as listeners know.
Especially, right.
But I do like it. I like the visor. Fits. The visor has a feel to it too. Of course, you have like the big Sears golf visor,
right.
Satellite dish visor,
sunblock visor. Yeah, right.
I don't mean that, but like when I was going to ballparks, I would always buy one from every major league stadium, and I have most of them. I lost my Giants one, which annoys me. It was black with orange, but I missed that one. But like the Tigers one is this plasticky material, and it just doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
The Cubs one is like that too. It just doesn't feel good. Most of the other ones,
you don't want a chintzy visor.
Are nice.
Don't want.
But it's what they had.
Yeah.
It's what they had, Bulldog.
Well, they should do better then.
I would go looking...
Get some first-rate gear in their team stores.
What happened with the Angels? When I went to an Angels game, I did not come away with a visor. I don't know how that happened. That was my son's first game, was Angels.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were mentioning that.
And
is that the same trip as the Dodger? Because you went to a Dodgers game then, too, but the Angels game came first.
Angels Sunday, Padres Wednesday, Dodgers Friday.
Okay.
Each game was memorable. The Angels one was the least memorable, but it was the day after. You might know this. The day after, a guy hit a grand slam and broke his leg celebrating. Kendrick?
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Or just like got injured in the celebration, maybe on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And we were there on the Sunday. Then San Diego was Johan Santana and the Padres, my son and I, who was 10 months old. And it was the same day as the Tigers pitcher Galarraga had the perfect game taken away because of the bad call at first on the last out. Because we heard that in the car, driving from San Diego to L.A., and then the L.A. was the best. Kershaw, John Wooden had died that day. There was a lot of John Wooden tribute stuff throughout the night. And Jason Hayward, 5 strikeouts in a 9-inning game. Baseball always gives you something.
How did the visor thing come to be? Is some part of it because people will ask, like, why the visors?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember when I started to wear them or why. Golf. I was probably playing a lot of golf then. Hats just don't feel good anymore to me. My hair is thick and kind of long, and I don't know. I feel like I'm sweating when I'm wearing a hat.
I see.
The visor gives me that.
Yeah.
See that? I did another thing for the viewers.
Yeah, wow, we are really going after that today.
Well, you didn't hear from management about it? They didn't contact you? I guess you're fine. They want more,
visual.
Be more demonstrative is the mandate. So I'm trying to accommodate them. But even in my basement setup for the podcast, I've got the helmets going, and I always sort of put up different ones. But I have a Bills one. It's a Super Bowl MVP collection. I have a Bills one that was a gift from my kids that isn't signed. Needless to say, but I still use it sometimes. Often you'll turn my stream on and you'll see Kansas City or the Jets or Pittsburgh.
Do you try to do it based on what subjects you think you are likely to be talking about?
Sometimes. During the season with Matt Collar, I would pick teams that were playing if I could.
Yeah.
If two teams that I had were playing, I would do that. You got to find ways to make life worth living. You got to find the little joys.
That's right.
In life, and that's one for me. There you go. We'll take a break. How about some reverse AFC power rankings? That's become a Friday segment.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a little bit of news. We can play with that coming up top of the hour. Paul Hamilton will join us at 5:30. We should talk some more about Kekalainen, the Sabres hiring on their management team today. Mike Schopen, the Bulldog here, WGR. Welcome back. We were talking about the Sabres hiring of Jarmo Kekalainen as we started the show today. If you missed it, check it out on the Odyssey app. More of that conversation to come, by the way, when Paul Hamilton joins us at 5:30, if not sooner. I made a joke about, like, going back to Tony Ludman, how we had to change pronunciations of names back in those days. And Bulldog mentioned Henrik Telinder, which was just like, okay. And Bulldog's like, well, he's from Sweden. And I said, well, Scandinavia. A listener just tweeted at me that Finland is not Scandinavia. And I don't know if this guy's angry about that I said it or just helping me, but I have never known that. I have never.
My mind might never be unblown.
Apparently Nordic you want, but it's not considered part of Scandinavia. And I have always thought of it as that, but not because of any, just like it's where it is on a map.
Yeah.
I think of like Olympic hockey, you know, it's just countries associated with each other, neighbors, but apparently Finland is not considered part of Scandinavia. Denmark, Norway, Sweden.
Oh, okay. I was just going to ask, what is Scandinavia then? Okay, well.
Like, I'll get corrected, you know, plenty, you know, over the years, but often it's like just so not in good faith that I'll just be like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to see that, and I'm going to file it, and I'm going to know that now, but I'm not going to respond. I'm just going to take the correction in stride.
I'm going to take the L. Yeah.
I'll take the L and just sort of keep it to myself. But this one, I felt like I did respond to it.
On behalf of, my end of the show, I'm grateful that we got that corrected, and I apologize. I've never had any idea that was the case.
Yeah. Boom.
You learn something every day.
Also, I learned today that yesterday, Eric Davis turned 63. That's a guy I cannot picture being as old as 63.
Yeah.
Eric Davis, Reds.
I was watching the Reds the other night, maybe playing interleague, maybe Cleveland.
Okay.
And they have a left-handed batter. There's a left-handed batter on the Reds. Eric Davis was a righty.
Yes.
But one of the announcers said something about Eric Davis, and then I didn't go look for Eric Davis's stance and his swing. Oof. But this guy looked very much like a lefty Eric Davis to me. And it was the Cleveland announcing crew, and one of them said that, and I'm like, wow, that's good. That's exactly what this guy looks like to me. The way his hands were, just the position of his hands while he was waiting for the pitch was very similar, reminiscent to me of how I remember Eric Davis.
Was it De La Cruz?
No, it was not. I would have known him.
He's a switch hitter, but maybe he's fun. Yeah, Eric Davis was very cool. Orioles, too, Eric Davis, I think. Does Eric Davis know that Finland is not part of Scandinavia? Well, if he's listening, he does.
I hope so.
Reverse AFC power rankings after sports. Mike Schopen, the Bulldog, WGR.
Call or text WGR at 803.
The Buffalo Sabres have made an addition to their front office as the team is officially hiring Jarmo Kekalainen as a senior advisor. He will report to the general manager, Kevin Adams, and will be involved in all areas of the hockey department. Kekalainen's most recent stint was as a general manager in Columbus. He was with the Blue Jackets from 2013 to 2024. Paul Hamilton has more on this up at our website, WGR550.com. And stay tuned, Paul will join the show in about a half hour at 5:30. The Bills also had some movement in their front office. Terrence Gray has been promoted to assistant general manager, and that now makes 2 assistant GMs for the Bills as Gray joins Brian Gain in that role. Stanley Cup Final is going to be a rematch from last year. Florida Panthers take on the Oilers. Oilers, though, have home ice advantage. Series begins next Wednesday evening in Edmonton, and coverage of the Stanley Cup Final on WGR is presented by Figo Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. Bisons continue their series tonight against the Charlotte Knights. First pitch set for 6:05. You can catch all the action over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. And we have a Stanley Cup Final rematch. We also have a World Series rematch. It starts tonight. Yankees are in LA versus the Dodgers, a 3-game series with first pitch tonight just after 10 o'clock. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's the same sensation, but now on Fridays.
Sorry, I was carefully crafting a text that's complicated.
Did you nail it?
I think so. There's no harm in me reading this on the air. I'm telling some friends who have got plans later. I may swing by the Sporto later. That's the Sportsman's. May swing by Sporto for a minute right after work. 11-day power play thing, and my barber, whose real name is Oral Roberts, sings in a reggae band with Marty Peters. Yeah, I think I nailed that. That's everything. Seriously, the dude's name is Oral Roberts.
Which I love. You have to love that.
He is my barber, and he also... I helped him. I sort of was a conduit to him meeting this Marty Peters, who's a regular at the Sporto and a lot of other places. Oral was looking to put a reggae band together a few years ago, and I helped connect him with Marty. Anyway, there is a fundraiser for the 11-day power play tonight at the Sportsman's Tavern on Amherst Street in Black Rock.
And you will be there.
I am going to head there from here. Yes.
Well, it's not time to leave yet.
No.
It's time for Reverse AFC Power Rankings powered by Empire Electric.
Steelers!
Your residential neighborhood electrician. Visit EmpireElectricians.com.
Sorry, I'm really in a hurry to get to the Sportsman's. No, I'm kidding.
This is going to take the usual amount of time.
Yes, that's how it works. Yeah.
No matter what you say. 16. I'm tempted to say the Colts. I'm just so sad for the Colts, really. That's really not how I feel, but what a bummer it would be.
Let's put the Colts here.
Okay.
I'm all right putting the Colts here. They don't have to be any better, if not even significantly worse than the Steelers.
Well, there is the Browns, though.
No.
But
yeah.
The Colts and the Browns could both be in the mix for the next year's quarterback class.
Yep.
In fact, I would think they would be.
The Steelers should be, too.
And the Steelers, too.
Somebody's got to help them find religion, by God.
I think the way I do this, the Steelers are always a team that I want to put at the top, which means like as terrible, because, like talking to Andrew last time, same thing. What's the point of 9 wins? Like what are you getting out of that? And the thing you can't know is, well, you don't know that they'll lose in the playoffs. You are playing to win, and that they've been in the playoffs. You don't know that they will lose. That's right. They have lost badly to teams that they're not, they're overmatched by. Bills, Chiefs, Ravens in that game for kind of years running now. So I'm not looking for necessarily the worst team. I'd rather be other teams than a team like that.
Teams that know they're bad.
Teams that know they're bad and
act like
are, just going to play it out.
Yeah.
And that's Indianapolis, I think, with Daniel Jones, is going to be like Pittsburgh, where in the AFC South, where they'll win 6 or 7 and draft 9th and, Congarts, right? That's not ideal.
No.
I'm not sure they can be much better than that without a lot of luck.
I'm all right with them at 16.
Okay.
Just to just keep. We need clicks. You keep it fresh. Can't be the same thing. Zach's going to send the tweet out. Like, we got to change it up.
Colts fans are going to be irate, though.
All of them.
Oh, furious.
Yeah, it's the Mel Kiper approach with the mock drafts. Just never make sure they're never the same. You know, got to do something. You got to make something worth talking about. There it is. You're right in the room with us now. Behind the curtain. 15. Cleveland.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Sounding like Flacco so far.
I hope that goes terribly. I was going to say I hope that goes well. I don't. I hope it goes really, really, really badly.
But you want them to beat Cincinnati in week 1, though, you said.
Oh, that's right.
And then they play Baltimore.
I got them. Oh.
Hey, we did.
Go Flacco.
We did New England's schedule yesterday. Here's Cleveland's start. Cincinnati, Baltimore, Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota.
Oh, good Lord.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. That's really something.
That's the Giants too, right? But the Giants have the league's hardest schedule.
Yeah.
And when do they put in their rookie? And that can be said of Cleveland as well.
Yeah.
Bills at Browns in week 16, by the way. They'll be to a rookie by then.
That is a tough start. Yeah.
14.
I'll go Pittsburgh here.
Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh.
I do. I think I hope our audience knows if they've ever thought about it. I love Andrew. He started here as a kid out of college. He was the one who walked in on President's Day one year and said we should draft presidents, and that spawned a whole cottage industry of us drafting things. So I really think highly of him. Professionally and personally, I like him a lot too. I hope Pittsburgh, I hope they never figure it out. They've had so much for so long. I mean, the baseball team's been a horror show for a long time now, since the 90s.
They've had their years, though.
Right? But the Penguins, the Steelers, settle in. All right? Like, they've not blown it up yet with Crosby. They've missed now 3 years in a row, is it?
Yes.
I don't think that's going to get any better anytime soon. So they could be embarking on a hike here that could take a while. They have to send for help. And the Steelers have never been really, really bad. But I'll settle for them just being, a little better than the Drought Bills. The playoff Drought Bills. Thanks for coming. You're not going to win anything, but, you do get a door prize.
In the hunt.
I just hope that keeps going for, I don't know, give me 10 years. Give me 10 years.
10 years feels good.
We looked it up the other day. Their worst record in 50 years is 5-11. One time.
See, and that's got to stop. Like that has to be broken. That has to be broken.
I'm totally here for it.
There's no shot on Andrew either, but every time he's on the station, I may have a moment where I'm like, it's still Pittsburgh sports. Like, they'll figure it out. He talks, and I'm like, they may not. Like, I always feel way worse about Pittsburgh sports when I hear them.
13. Jets.
Sure. Yep. Just not expecting the any kind of ceiling from Justin Fields. And I mean, the whole thing is starting over. I don't know that they're expecting much of a ceiling. I mean, they signed him, but that feels like placeholder. Let's win 4 games and, get our guy next year.
The Bills will see him in week 2. They open with Pittsburgh at home, which would be fun if Rodgers is actually going to play for the Steelers at the Jets in week 1. 12.
Tennessee.
Okay.
This is quite a run for them.
I mean, from first overall to 5th worst in the reverse AFC power rankings.
They should be proud. Notify their fans.
I'm hearing more than I'm not about Cam Ward that he's promising. Not based on practices, just like I've heard maybe 70-30.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it started as, well, he's not on the level of last year's guys. Like that's how you walked in to the Cam Ward conversation. Your first time hearing about him was he's not great for a first overall pick. But more and more people sound like they can buy the idea of Cam Ward.
This should be a good time of the year for him. Not based at all on how he's throwing the ball to Treylon Burks. By the way, did you see Treylon Burks?
Mm-hmm. Looks big.
That ballooned a little. This is a Kelvin Benjamin thing happening there. Like I don't know. Anyway, what I mean by that is Ward, even coming into the draft, was not at all hard to buy as a guy who was going to do all the right things and say all the right things and just check all the intangible boxes. Coach's dream, good on the whiteboard, like understands it all, just really good mind for the position. And at this time of the year, you got a guy like that and knows how to say the right thing when he's asked to talk. I think it's not surprising to hear that people are sort of getting elevated opinions of him at this time of the year. That's not to say like he won't produce on the field, but it's just a good time of the year for a guy that reads like him on paper.
You know who is getting high praise so far is Milroe in Seattle.
Oh, what do you know?
Coach had a couple of sentences about how spectacular he was as a runner in their practice and just everything about him is aces, I guess, when it comes to
all the stuff I just said about Ward. Absolutely with Milroe. Yeah, the question was, just erratic with the ball when he throws. So maybe you can fix that.
I'm dabbling in Jalen Milroe in best ball.
Oh, I love to hear it.
I mean, it's a 0 for at least half the season, right?
Sure.
But if I can drag that team to the playoffs and he goes in, their fantasy playoff games are against Indianapolis at home, the Rams, and Carolina. If I get Jalen Milroe on the field for those 3 games, maybe.
How bad or good is their offensive line supposed to be?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think I've heard great.
Okay. Because Darnold, I think, needs a lot of help.
Yeah, right.
Right. So if that's a way that could go badly pretty quickly. And I don't know, that could be good. It might be good for your fantasy team. It might be bad if they got to put Milroe in too soon. I think you draft that guy where you drafted him hoping to really redshirt at least a year, maybe more, just to really go to the lab with him and work on all the mechanics. But Darnold, if he doesn't get protected, that could go sideways real fast.
11.
Dolphins? Where are some teams? Yeah. I think I need the Dolphins here.
Okay. 10.
Raiders.
Jacksonville.
Raiders.
I'm excited about the Raiders. I will be looking for, as we speak, more than 3 months away. I believe it's exactly 100 days away from the first Sunday of the NFL season.
Right.
I will be looking for, pressure's on you, Channel 4, you heard it here first, Raiders-Patriots, Week 1, 1 o'clock, CBS. The Bills are at night. Let's find that game. There might be a better one. Not here to compare right now. I don't want to watch, certain teams. Raiders-Patriots. Pittsburgh and the Jets would be the game, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be Nance and Romo. Why don't we do that? Let's assign broadcast crews to Week 1 games. Nance and Romo, Pittsburgh at the Jets.
Do you want to do that right now in lieu of the rest of reverse AFC power rankings?
We've never failed to complete reverse AFC power rankings.
We can't have that. No.
But I would like to sort of play that out. 9, Jacksonville.
Yeah.
What's the hesitation here for?
Because I ever since I heard the kind of wacky coach talking about the offense running through Brian Thomas Jr. and they traded for Travis Hunter, I think, okay, maybe that's really going to work. I'm not the fantasy guy, but I'm seduced by 3 talented players. I'm counting the quarterback. So
you're not even counting Bashal Tootin, who's the running back I wanted for the Bills.
I think I feel good about them because of that. But I mean, I don't know. I'm probably over.
It's still Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Okay. 8.
Chargers.
Houston.
Houston, yeah. 7.
I'm going to say Chargers.
I'm going to say New England.
We didn't say New England yet.
We have not said New England yet.
I forgot about New England.
That's the Stephon Diggs boat bump. New England.
A playoff seed here, New England. Well, that's what we talked about earlier with Sam. I made that bet. Plus 155. New England to make the playoffs. 6. Chargers.
Sure. Yeah. I can't believe I forgot about New England.
Speaking of the betting lines, the Chargers have, I never know how to say it. It's the word I think is shorter odds, like more of a favorite to make the playoffs than Denver is. Not by much, but I was curious to see that this morning when I looked at everybody's numbers. The market's giving the Chargers, they give the Chargers the nod here over the Broncos on this list, which of course means they'd be below because it's reverse. 5.
Huh?
Denver.
Sure. Yep.
4.
Cincinnati.
On a tier of its own, I think. 3.
Chiefs.
Also from the betting odds, the Chiefs are the third choice in the AFC to win the Super Bowl, which, you might think is interesting. Other years, well, it's kind of gone back and forth, but it's not by much either, but right now, the Bills and Ravens, it's the Ravens up top. It probably varies book to book, is all very close. But the Chiefs at BetMGM this morning were third of the 3. 2.
I'm going to say Ravens.
Okay. Me too, fine. Bills 1.
I like this Elijah Moore. I don't know. I'm just looking for side. I like talking to Sal about Elijah Moore this week. Maybe that could be really good.
Elijah Moore or DeAndre Hopkins?
Where's Hopkins again?
Baltimore.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the Bills don't have a need for DeAndre Hopkins. The Ravens might.
Yeah.
Just another underneath, probably at this point, slower possession guy. The Bills don't have a need for that. Like, Baltimore might.
They're not, are they? What is there? It's Flowers. You've got the tight ends. Is Bateman? Yeah, okay.
Bateman came on. Like, he had a touchdown in the Bills game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So did Likely, maybe, right? In that game? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, then I think from if you're picking fantasy production, I feel like Hopkins is a safer pick than Moore.
But Hopkins is not a great pick.
No.
I mean, he is like a last-round pick in drafts. Very late. Because, I mean, also that's tilted toward the late season stuff, that format, necessarily. But still, like, what are we expecting from DeAndre Hopkins in Baltimore? 600 yards, maybe?
Yeah.
5-6 touchdowns.
I think if I were in a fantasy draft right now, which
you're not?
Thank Christ I'm not. I think I would, and I would face with this dilemma. So my last pick, I think I would. I'm a Bills fan. I would take Elijah Moore because what am I? It's like Survivor. I'm trying to beat you. I'm gonna do this and hope that smashes in a way that nobody saw coming. Like Hopkins, I think the ceiling for Hopkins is what you just said, and I'm not super bullish on Moore smashing that, but I think there's more of a chance that he could go off than Hopkins would. I guess if that makes sense.
ADP,
it's a better long shot, I guess, is all I'm saying.
Underdog ADP, Elijah Moore, 215, which I think might be like the very last pick of the draft, right at the very bottom. Yeah, you're doing that based on, like, who's your quarterback. You're trying to find an extra receiver on whoever your quarterback is. So if you have Allen, sure.
Or Lamar.
For Hopkins?
For Hopkins, sure, right. Although he's not the last pick, is he?
No, his ADP is 178, so 3 rounds earlier, round 15, maybe. Paul Hamilton next. Jarmo Kekalainen, new to the Sabres front office. We'll discuss it after this. Mike Schopen, the Bulldog, WGR.
The Buffalo Sabres have added to their front office as they've officially announced the hiring of Jarmo Kekalainen as a senior advisor. He's going to report to the general manager, Kevin Adams, and will be involved in all areas of the hockey department. And Kekalainen most recently was the general manager of the Columbus Blue Jackets. He was the GM for that team from 2013 to 2024. And for more on this hiring, Paul Hamilton has a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. And do stay tuned. Paul will join the show next to give us the latest on this. Moving in the Bills front office as well, Terrence Gray promoted to assistant general manager, and now that makes 2 assistant GMs for the Bills as Gray joins Brian Gain in that role. Stanley Cup Finals is going to be a rematch from last year. The Panthers taking on the Oilers. The series will begin next Wednesday evening in Edmonton, and coverage of the Stanley Cup Final on WGR is presented by Fiegel Car & Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. Bisons at home today. They continue their series tonight against the Charlotte Knights. First pitch set for 6:05. You can catch all the action on our sister station, the Bet 1520. And we have a World Series rematch starting tonight. Yankees are in L.A. to take on the Dodgers. 3-game series. First pitch tonight, just after 10. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Turns out they did win that night.
Of course,
easy for me to say. I mean, it's over. Predicting is easy after the game. Very easy. Paul Hamilton along on the West Her hotline. The Sabres make a pretty significant addition to their front office. Jarmo Kekalainen, late of Columbus. Hi, Paul. How do you think the Sabres scored here for credibility? That was so often the word in our conversations for the idea of a move like this.
No, I think that they did very well with it. I mean, this is a guy that has done different things in organizations. He's been a general manager for a long time, with the Columbus Blue Jackets, 2013 through 2024. But also, before that, he was a director of player personnel in Ottawa. He was assistant GM and director of amateur scouting in St. Louis. He was a GM in Finland with Jokerit. So he's done different things in the position. So he knows what goes on in the front office. He knows what goes on in the hockey department. And I think, he does have credibility that way. And will be listened to, because that's one of the things Terry Pegula said is this just isn't going to be a hire, back when they started looking for it, that, the guy's around if you need him. It's this guy will be heard. This guy will be listened to. So, and he should be. The only thing I would say is, it's a little late. I mean, when you hire a general manager who's never been a general manager before, I think this might have been, not with this man because he had a job at the time,
right?
But this might have been a good idea at that time to bring somebody in of this nature to be able to be with Kevin Adams right from the start, since he had never been a general manager in the NHL before.
Yeah, I'm impressed, Paul, and I have to admit, Mike and I talked this through at the very front end of our show today. I'm coming from a place where I just did not expect them to land someone whose name I would go, oh. I mean, I know Columbus hasn't won anything, so, it's not like they're hiring someone who's got a closet full of cups and rings and banners, all right? But there is credibility here, and I like the fact that he worked in the market he worked in because of where the Sabres are. He had to deal with Columbus, and Columbus is not like a destination in the NHL, but he got Johnny Gaudreau to go there, and that's pretty amazing still that happened. So I feel like this will be a hire that gets the attention of the league to some extent, and then people go hey, the Sabres did a thing, look at that. So I know it doesn't score, it's not off the charts, but I'm coming from a place where I wasn't expecting them to really fill this spot, honestly.
The man has knowledge. I mean, it's as simple as that. He's done a lot of what goes on in a hockey department. And he's not afraid to be bold. I mean, think back to when Johnny Gaudreau was a free agent. The Columbus Blue Jackets were never mentioned. I mean, there were clubs that were mentioned that they thought he was going to go to. It wasn't the Columbus Blue Jackets, and next thing you know, all of a sudden, Johnny Gaudreau signs with the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I thought we were being punked or something. What?
Right.
Is that right? Did somebody get this wrong? Wrong type of a thing. So he's not afraid to do that. I remember back in 2016 when he drafted Pierre-Luc Dubois, 3rd overall. There was actually a gasp on the floor of the draft. It would be what? It was like, now maybe when you look at that draft, Matthew Tkachuk went 6th overall. I mean, Clayton Keller went 7th. Alex Nylander went 8th. That was a good one. But Charlie McAvoy went 14th. So, I mean, looking back, we can always say, well, whatever. But at that time, people thought, wow, he took him 3rd overall. Wow. And there was like a gasp on the floor. So he's not afraid to go big. He's not afraid to try things or make a splash type of a move because he's done it before. And, that can be helpful. And Kevin Adams isn't afraid, like when we're talking about guys to bring to the Buffalo Sabres this year. Well, my number one priority would be Ekblad. Now, I understand when I'm throwing these names out here, it's going to be tough to bring any of them in here when you haven't made the playoffs in 14 years. I understand that. But that doesn't mean you don't ask. That doesn't mean you don't try. So, all right, Ekblad, when you look at it, say, why would he come here? I understand that conversation, but why wouldn't you call and find out? Why wouldn't you call and overpay that man? Because to me, when we're talking about a partner for Owen Power, right there, exactly what I've been talking about for how long. And if I have to overpay to get him, so what? The salary cap's going up each of the next couple of years. So, I'm not really all that concerned about that. And here's a man that has done things like that, pulled off the impossible, pulled off what nobody thought what could happen. So, he can maybe help put together some type of an offer that would put the Sabres over the top when, when we're all thinking it's unlikely that it could ever happen type of a scenario.
Well, you've said it all here, but I just wanted to continue it with like that particular trait or strategy from Kekalainen might be his biggest challenge or his biggest hurdle with the Sabres, because they can want what they want. We've been dealing with this forever about, making moves, goes back, decades even with the franchise. Will he be able to spur them, Adams, into, some significant changes?
And, Adams, I know the palm tree thing, but the premise of what he was saying wasn't wrong. But it's just the basic premise should have been, you haven't made the playoffs in 14 years. Why would players come here? There's no reason to come here because, there's the other stuff, I suppose, is a little bit, but it's the main thing is you haven't made the playoffs in 14 years as an organization. Why would somebody want to come here? So, but my criticism has always been, I understand that's a problem. I understand that you need a trade partner. I understand all that, but it's still your job to get it done. I know it's hard, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to get it done if you're a good general manager. And that basically, because I liked some of the moves. I liked the trade for McLeod.
Yeah.
I liked, bringing in
Malenstein's another one from last year.
Yeah, Zucker turned out to be. I was, when they made that move, I'm like, all right, whatever. I wasn't for it. I wasn't against it. It was just a whatever move. Well, I came to think it was quite a bit more than whatever, that they did. So it hasn't been all bad, but it hasn't been the big move, And that's the one that he has to be able to finish. Yeah, you tried, but you didn't get it done. As he said, well, we had guys that we were targeting, but then they didn't wind up being traded. Now, one of them wound up being traded during the season, but still, that's fine. I understand all that, but still your job to get it done.
Right. Paul, do you have any sense at this point, will there be like a media availability with Kekalainen? And with that said, do you think if we do hear from him, to announce his arrival, that might be it for a long time? Because senior advisor is not someone that I expect to be sitting at a podium answering questions.
Yeah, I'm not expecting it either, but you just never know. Organizations are different, the way they handle things. And so maybe not. I really don't have an answer for that. I just, however they feel like they want to handle it. I know Kevin Adams, as things have gone on and he's been criticized more and more, has not been a real happy camper with the media. If you get him to say hello as you walk by him in the hall, you're lucky. He usually just puts his head down and wanders by you. He's just so. I don't know. I just don't know how that would go, or if that's going to happen, or anything like that.
I mean, that one infamous example notwithstanding, I've said every time, I think Adams has a pretty good way at press conferences. Maybe he's not enjoying it, but I kind of believe him when he's talking at press conferences. Maybe that's part of how he got into trouble. Maybe even Paul is saying here, like, he wasn't really wrong. So I kind of think the Sabres, the more they can do, the better. I think somebody might say different because they've been down so bad that maybe they don't see it as plus EV to do more media.
Well, it almost feels a little bit to me like anything they do, someone is going to be like, oh, you got to have a news conference and announce your senior advisor, amateur hour. Like any fan that's right, burdened by this playoff drought could do that. I thought there's been a little thing percolating during the tail end of the season about not commemorating or recognizing the Stanley Cup team 50 years ago this year. And the whole time, every time I've come across that, I've started to respond and get into the conversation, and I just bail out. But I feel like anything like that, as much as it's warranted, it's a great anniversary and it's a great memory. But you got to celebrate stuff from 50 years ago is not maybe the best look for them right now.
Yeah, and Kevin Adams' last two press conferences have been fine. They've been informative. He hasn't lost his cool or his temper. He's been cordial in answering questions, patient in answering questions. The trade deadline at the end of the season, it was the two before that he had problems. He was getting angry. He didn't like being criticized by media, which made him angrier. And then, he started being sarcastic, and he didn't come off very well for two press conferences. But he's gotten past that and gotten himself under control, and I would say his last two have been perfectly fine. I have no problem, and I agree with Mike. For the most part, I don't think we get lied to by Kevin Adams. I mean, it's pro sports. I understand we get lied to at some point.
By everybody.
Exactly. I get it. But for the most part, I don't think he stands up there and lies to us or whatever. Could I say he's never lied to us? Well, that's probably not true. As I said, this is pro sports, but I don't think he makes a habit of it. I think he comes up and says his piece, and if there's something he doesn't want to get into, then he just doesn't get into it.
As was covered here quickly before you go, Paul, you don't make predictions. Edmonton-Dallas was the second NHL series ever to go 5 games or more, with every game decided by at least 3 goals. That's how that went. There were no close games on the scoreboard. I mean, Game 4 was 2-1 pretty late.
Right.
That's
so
how it went, though.
Disappointed. I was hoping for so much more from that series.
Yeah, me too.
But when the guy who looked like he was Wayne Gretzky for how long, all of a sudden started looking like he was Tyson Jost for the last 8 games, he was Dallas's best player. Yep. He was one of the reasons why Dallas had improved, because Edmonton has improved from last year. And I thought with him, Dallas had improved also. I was looking for a really great series, probably a 7-game series, and we just didn't get it. Edmonton-Vegas only turned out to be a 5-game series. Carolina-Washington only turned out to be a 5-game series when Washington had such a great regular season.
Yep.
But, not that. But this Dallas-Edmonton series was just a really huge disappointment to me.
Yeah, Edmonton, since they got blown out in Game 1 against L.A. in the first round, is like they have just beaten the doors off of everybody. They even beat Dallas. I thought they were the better team in game one, which they lost on those 3 power play goals in like 6 minutes, third period, and then Dallas ended up pulling away at the end. But they were the better team in that game too, up to that point.
Yeah, for 40 minutes. They were.
So I mean, they look. This final should be. I mean, I hope we don't get another version of Dallas Edmonton here, because this final looks like it should be fantastic here, Paul.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, I can't tell you, or not even going to attempt to tell you who's going to win it, but I wouldn't be shocked if it went 7 games. Of course, I said the same thing with Dallas Edmonton, and it went 5. So, but I'm hoping it goes 7, because, and now here we sit. We don't get hockey till Wednesday. So that I don't like that either. I mean, it's like, we've been having hockey all through the playoffs, and now we sit here, and I am really cranky, boys, because we have Yankees-Dodgers today, and I got to have Apple TV. Can you imagine me trying to figure out how to get Apple TV?
All right, we got to go, Paul.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Watch tomorrow's game.
You could finish your show trying to explain that one to me.
Paul, thanks. Enjoy your weekend nonetheless.
Take care, guys.
There's Paul Hamilton on the Western Hotline. His appearance is brought to you by Equitable Advisors. Planning for your future is about more than just money. Let Equitable be your guide. And by Relax Honda. Relax, we got this.
Back after this, Mike Schopen, the Bulldog, WGR.
Got something to say? Say it anytime. Call, tweet, or text when you want, or hit us up.
Until now, I guess. There, I said it. I don't really know what to say about it. I think it's funny that it exists.
I think it probably smells nice.
Bathwater soap.
It probably smells nice.
I don't think there's a person I've ever heard of or known of whose name in front of bathwater would really appeal to me.
She
might come close to the right answer.
You make a good point.
Whoever you want for this, I don't know if I need the bathwater soap. I think I'm going to pass on that. Loved seeing this, too, that Buffalo ranked first in the nation for watching the Premier League.
I love it.
How about that? Let's get Rebecca Lowe over here.
We should talk about it more. I'm so happy to hear that news.
Let's get the two Robbies over. Let's get Tim Howard, all of them. Let's get Buffalo in the rotation for one of these visits to the States.
Let's go.
That they do.
Yep. I loved hearing
Number one in it looked like hockey ratings. There was West Palm, there was Providence,
right.
And there we were right on top. Love to see that.
Way to go, soccer.
We covered a few different sports with Sam Panayotovich earlier. Conn Smythe Trophy, of course, the Rockies, the Knicks series, but mostly right off the top on the NFL and some futures bets and ideas on that front. That conversation next. Mike Schopen, the Bulldog, WGR.
Call or text WGR at 80305.